Hey, Hip Hop Inquirer. Hey, G's. Not close enough. Honey bun bunches of oats. Oh, yeah. That would have almost been your hand.
Yeah,
Nice. I'm broken.
oh, wow.
Different places.
Oh
Messing
my
up.
goodness.
And that, like, the shoulder, like the back bar clamped down on my finger.
Oh my
I
gosh.
opened it. Well, I was taking it out of the trunk. And when I opened it, it wasn't clamped all the way shut. And so it popped open as I was pulling it out, and it clamped on my finger. And it didn't shut all the way because obviously it'd probably be severed. But as as my mom came out the car and she did something, it popped open.
Wow.
And as I was pulling my hand out, it broke in all 3 places.
That's crazy.
So then there's that. Hey guys, so hey B and Marie, hey Joseph, what's going on? You need a joystick. I actually have a joystick. We're actually using Baby Joy right now.
It is cute.
BM. So shout out to Akemi Kehi. Oops. Damn. That just lets you know how long we've known each other.
Right.
So me and Akemi have known each other since high school. Akemi was Akemi Kehi at the time, and now she is Mrs. Parker, y'all.
Miss Parker, Miss Parker.
Hey, Miss Parker. I could totally see you being that.
I really am.
I like, no, for real, y'all. Hey, Leon. So anyway, so we are here in Atlanta. Akemi blessed me with her presence for the weekend. I had so much fun.
I did too.
I had a lot of fun. You got a chance to come to the Black Women's Expo this weekend.
Awesome.
We got a chance to work out. Awesome.
Yes.
She meant to say awesome on that. We got a chance to eat out.
We ate a lot.
We got a
That
chance
was
to
good.
eat. What did we do yesterday? You got a chance to get on the
Radio show.
So she
Yep.
woke up Monday morning and did Michael and Friends.
Right, which was a blast. Had a lot of
and
fun.
you sold some books.
And I sold 2 books. Yay! Turn
Sold
up.
2 books. Shout out to Superfoods.
Yes, Superfoods by Chef Akemi Parker. Powerful foods that beat cancer and chronic illness, because we all know someone that's been affected by disease or illness, and it's really important to take control of our health, and the best way to do that is to be informed. So it's always a pleasure to be able to talk to people about that. But today, I wanted to put Joy to the side and just chat with her. I had an idea and a thought to do girl talks, and she's a girl. She's my girl. And
Yay, girl chats.
really the point of the girl talk or the girl chat would be to for the girls of all ages to communicate and talk with one another, and I think that that's really important. We need support, so of course our peers, but also from the older to the younger. So I wanted to really talk with you, and today on Transformation Tuesday, which everybody will know that
Akemi did that.
I did the big chop here in the ATL, and courtesy of Dark Hair Buzz on Instagram, Dark Hair Buzz. DRK, my
So
bad.
those are like clearly her initials.
Oh, okay. I thought it meant dark hair. All right. Well, thanks for the information. See how being informed is so critical.
That is so cute. I cannot wait to tell her.
But
Dark Hair Buzz.
But she's a hairstylist.
She is, which
So
is
I thought
Hair
that made
Buzz,
sense.
clearly. Yeah. So shout out to Rochelle.
Yes. Of DRK.
DRK Hair
Buzz.
But she did a chop. Your hair was down here.
Initially, my hair was almost to my elbow. And then a couple of months ago, I took it to a bob. So it was
Okay.
about shoulder length, right at my
About to
shoulder.
say,
Yeah, it was right up.
We don't necessarily know where it was.
It was somewhere abouts. And one of the things that I put on my post when I did the little before and after photo that Joy was so kind to take was that I had been holding on to this hair for a long time. I remember when I first started growing it out, it was because my hair was over processed, and I just took the scissors and cut it off. And Joy has known me for a long time, and she knows that I can cut and then I'll grow it back out and I'll cut it all off again,
Shout out to you.
we are about that life. Our hair grows like that. But the main thing is that today, once I felt that chop, I really felt like a release. It felt so good. You know what I'm saying?
It is so amazing for women who have never had their hair short, like super short, for women who once they take their weave out and it's their natural hair, I mean, it is a lot of release. I have actually heard that after a relationship gone bad or a relationship failed, that most women will cut their hair.
And that's funny that you say that, because that was one of the main reasons why I did not cut my hair.
You didn't want someone to think.
Yeah, I mean, not someone to think, but for me, past few years have been a little bit turbulent for me personally, and I just, in the back of my mind, I was remembering that, like, so many women do that, the big chop, and men sometimes diss us ladies, and they say, oh, well, you must have been going through some stuff. Well, no, I wasn't going through anything, today. It was just time, you know what I'm saying? So I'm actually quite happy.
I love the disclaimer.
Quite happy, but just felt like I needed to let it go. And one of the things that I mentioned in my Instagram post is that, beauty has been a source of pain and pleasure for me. And my mother, from the time I was like yay high when she was doing my hair, says, hey, sometimes you have to go through the pain to get the beauty, right?
About that.
So, like I said, it was just definitely a big, big release. I
love it. While we're just, talking about it, I think it looks very, very good on you.
Thank you. Yes.
It looks very good. And you have a lot of hair.
I do.
So when you were going through, the everyday flat iron, and I was like, that sucks.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it looks great.
Transformation Tuesday
is it's big. I think that there are a lot of people that stay a certain way because they feel like society and the norms nowadays tell them that they have to be a certain way to get a certain something.
Absolutely.
And I don't necessarily believe that to be true at all.
Right. I would definitely agree. So, what way have you transformed? And, or talk to me a little bit about a transformation that you've taken on. Not just physically, but
really?
Because, really our outside is our outside, right? But then we all have insides, and we transform constantly on the inside. And one of the things that, your boo asked me was, had Joy changed since the last time I hung out with her? And I said, no, she's pretty much still Joy. And Joy was like,
I was very,
no, I'm not. She was offended.
I was a little offended.
She was, that's the exact word I was going to use, is she was very offended. But I told her that, while you go through things and experiences, and of course people can totally shift, their personality, especially when you go through something traumatic. But, I think that for the most part, many people do, retain themselves, like they are who they are, and they go through life and experience, and of course we grow and develop, so staying the same is not necessarily a bad thing.
You have like the same core principles.
That's right. And I think I said it was a mustard seed, and she said that's not how we use mustard seed.
I love that part.
Yeah, I mean, the mustard seed of you is you. You know what I'm saying? And like Jay-Z said, you are who you are before you got here. But of course we do change. So talk to me a little bit about your transformation, because obviously since the last time we hung out, you really have transformed quite a lot. You've got a son now, 8 years old. Your business is thriving. And that's quite an undertaking. So in what ways do you think has been, like, what's your biggest transformation that you could think of to date? Hard question.
Biggest transformation as of yet. I think the biggest transformation that any woman will go through in life is motherhood. So I definitely think that motherhood was my biggest transformation, because I literally had to. I literally now have somebody depending on me.
Right.
Like when you're actually growing a person inside of you, they're actually taking from you. When he's actually born, for all intents and purposes, he's still taking from you, because he's learning, he's obtaining skills and principles and morals and ways of life that he is gathering from the most part between the mother and the father. Obviously once he gets into the world, it is what it is, but I just have to assume and prayed that I gave him enough, and we gave him enough that he'll be able to, tackle life without us. But I think my biggest transformation was going from, single girl, no children, to now a mother. And they joke around about, oh, it only being 18 years. A mother is a mother forever.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think that my relationship with my mother now is so much more important than it was actually when I was a child growing up. I think that I draw so much from her daily. And my mother, so how important my relationship is with her. I am still learning from her every day, and I think that one of the things that I appreciate and I love about my relationship with Brenton, which you've gotten a chance to see, is how close we are. I definitely value how our bond, I value our honesty between each other. I value how he can communicate with me, how he can communicate without feeling judged, which is so very, very similar to how I was raised in my relationship, with my father. And not to diss my mom, but her culture, being Filipino, dictated a lot of judgment. It dictated a lot of, just cultural norms that they had that I didn't experience from my father.
Right.
And I think that was one of the things that was beautiful, is that I still had that safe space,
right.
In my relationship with my dad. And honestly, now I have it with my mom, because if she is judging me, she ain't telling me about it.
And also, you're in a different stage, right? So, even if she were to judge you, it's not quite the same, because you are in your realm and you are totally free to live as you see fit, whether someone else is in agreement or not. So motherhood is obviously a big transformation, but there are some ladies that choose not to become a mother. So, talk to me about your business. How has that transformed you? Because I know that's got to be a life-changing thing, and it's not something that just came overnight, right? Your first business was what, Amway at 19?
Yep. And okay. I actually am still building an Amway business now. I think my second business venture was a painting company, which actually went bankrupt. Not paying attention to the way the money was flowing, I allowed, the painter to be great at painting, and his wife, that I thought was good at finances, to be good at finances. And in all actuality, she was good at finances, just not mine.
Right.
She was good at paying her own bills and making sure that their needs were met, and not necessarily mine. So that was a failed business that actually...
That was also a lesson?
It was a huge
ownership,
lesson,
right?
Of ownership, of being able to... You have to get to know your business partner, and that was one of the things that I didn't do, is I didn't get to know my business partner. I didn't do any research. I just kind of jumped in. I knew what I was good at. I knew what they were good at. And I figured, oh, okay, he'll have my back. And, obviously it didn't work out that way. So I learned a lot. I filed bankruptcy from that business over 10 years ago. And subsequently, since then, I started a photography company, which is beautiful, because my photography company is actually going on 10 years.
Yeah.
I am a full-time event photographer. I do headshots, but I focus on event photography and mainly corporate events. I have about 30 photographers throughout the country that work I don't want to say underneath me, because they're my team, and I rely very heavily on them. But
so they work with you.
So they work with me. They're all independent contractors, but I still am learning from them, and they're still learning from me, every day. So I love the fact that I was able to build that business. Of course, the principles that I learned in Amway, which was to build a team, because if you want success in any business, you have to at some point be in a position where you can walk away. When I went to Thailand, the photographers were able to build and still shoot events while I wasn't in the country.
Right.
And, I think one of the beautiful words that I love is ubiquitous, or ubiquity, which means to be in multiple places, at the same multiple places without being at multiple places. So I am in one place, but there are 30 photographers throughout the country shooting for my business.
So already in this little short snippet of conversation, I've heard ownership, accountability. I think accountability as well,
It's
because
huge.
when you were talking about the other business that you had with the painters, if you had been more accountable, if you had held someone else to be more accountable, perhaps it would have had a different result, right? And so, that's really important that we do that. But also, you call it ubiquity or ubiquitous, but learning how to delegate, because so often we think that, oh, I got to be self-sufficient.
I got to do everything.
I got to do everything by myself. I'm strong and I don't need nobody else. But truth is that we all need someone. Right, and this whole world and this whole society, especially in America, but everywhere on earth, we are relying on one another in ways that sometimes we don't even understand. You know what I'm saying? So you have to know, like you said, to have the team, right, to support what your vision is and what you're doing, and how to delegate those things, because you can get burnt out. Things can go by the wayside, so that's really important.
It's interesting that you say that, because I just was having a conversation with my best friend Chris, who was actually a videographer. We went to Hampton together, and so he does video and he does photography, and we were talking about some photographers that are in the Atlanta area that are burnt out now.
Right.
And it was, and I think the interesting thing is that I could see it coming. I actually had conversation with these photographers and said, do not try to shoot everything in Atlanta. It is too much going on. There are too many events going on. And truth be told, these PR companies or these event companies or, just whoever is doing whatever, they're not always paying people. And so if you're doing 6 or 7 events, in 1 week, and maybe 2 or 3 on Saturday, by the time you leave and by the time you get home, you might have shot over 1,000 photos, and let's just say one client pays you. That's not even, by the time you get home, you still have to edit the photos, you still have to get the photos to the client, and typically for event photography, your turnaround time is 24 hours. So it's not like, oh, I'll get it back to you when I feel like it. It's like, no, I need these red carpet photos by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, because by 8 p.m. nobody cares who was on the red carpet.
Absolutely.
And I always, and I joke with Chris, because I said to him, and I was like, I really want to empower people. I don't ever feel as if I'm in a position where I want to hate on anybody. If I'm giving you game, it's because I learned it. It's because at one point I was burnt out. It was because at one point I was doing 2 or 3 events and not getting a check. And so for me, anytime I hire a photographer, I'm going to always make sure that they're making some type of money, even if it's just gas money, because I know what that life is like, and I don't want other people, especially younger people, to get burnt out. Because if you want to go into photography specifically, and this is something that you're new at, you just bought this $1,000 camera, you just got all this equipment, you have to pay for that camera.
Right.
So if you're working a month and you got paid by 2 gigs, you might not, especially starting out, you haven't even halfway paid for that camera yet.
Exactly.
Let alone, let's talk about the time, the energy, your gas,
all those expenses, that you don't even really think about.
That you're not adding on to that $1,000. Your website, your editing equipment, your computer, your internet, all of that little stuff, and so for me, you have to be in a mind space where, as you're growing, you're teaching and you're learning. And for me, again, I fell a couple times, and I knew that I didn't want to be bruised again. And so I wanted these younger photographers to say, hey, look, I took the bruises for you, so you can walk this straight path without having to fall.
Well, sometimes people, have to do for themselves. But one of the things that I hear when you're telling this story about talking, about how much business there is in Atlanta, is I think of the fact that there's an abundance in the universe. People really don't even understand. And I think our society right now is one where we think that there's not enough, when actually there's plenty. And that goes for like not only money and business, but love, right? We think there's not enough, so we want it all to ourselves. And what you're doing by building a business and involving other photographers is sharing that abundance with others, right? So, I mean, that's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, you could have a line of 10 photographers shooting the same exact subject. You're going to get 10 different photos.
Right.
Because everybody sees the photo differently, you know? And so for me, I've never been in a scenario, and I remember being on a red carpet one time, and it might have been T.I., and at the time, the guy that just passed away in the car accident, I think it was Takers. No. It might have been Takers. Let's just say it was. And Will Packer was there. It was that movie with Will Packer, T.I., and that gentleman that passed away in that car accident that was in that series with Fast and the Furious. Paul Walker. So we were on the red carpet. We were taking photos, and there was a girl behind me that wanted to get some of the same exact shots that I got, and I moved to the side and let her get it.
Why not?
And the guy beside me was like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "Why not? I don't need 1,000 photos of Paul Walker, Will Packer, and T.I."
Yeah.
I said, you know what I mean? Like, once I get what I get, I'm good. Like, why would I hate on her and her opportunity?
Everybody brings something different. Everybody has a different, you know, creative energy. Even like in my industry, in the hospitality industry, in the culinary world, you know, lasagna is lasagna, right? But your lasagna is going to be different than mine.
And let's start off with the fact that my lasagna won't even be by me.
Okay.
Let's start off with that.
You know, again, and something as basic as like a salad. You know, I was reading you that email that the girl sent me that I used to work with.
Like banana peppers.
10 years ago.
Who puts banana peppers in their salad?
And she says, you know, I've never seen somebody put half the stuff that you used to put in your salads. And so many people over the years have told me, like, I never eat salads, but I love your salads. Now, what am I doing?
Right.
It's lettuce, it's tomato. You know, of course, it's created with love, right? Of course, you know what I'm saying? Of course, it's sliced julienne or what have you, right? But, you know, it is meat on the plate. Yes. Yeah. Good job.
Hey,
yes.
Come on, Julia.
Enthusiast. Foodie. But yeah, you know, again, my technique is my technique. I'm making a dish, and yeah, 1,000 other chefs can make it, but my dish is going to be my dish. It's going to be representative of me. So, you know, there is no competition, right, with the person next door. So,
and you know, the interesting thing that you said is I actually saw my coach yesterday, Coach Stormy, post, and she said my only competition is the person I was yesterday. And I thought, you know what, how important is that? And I actually used the same exact thing, tagged her in it, and I said the same exact thing, like, my only competition is the joy from years ago. You know what I mean? And I don't necessarily understand why, you know, so many women or so many men feel like they have to compete with the person right beside them. I bring what I bring to the table. You bring what you bring to the table. Like, even in photography, you could, I mean, or let's just say motivational speaking or just talking, we can read the same exact paragraph to a group of people. I can read it, then you can read it. There are going to be people that like the way I read it, and there are going to be people that like the way you read it.
Right.
There are going to be people that gravitate to you, your energy, your spunkiness, your haircut, the way you dress, the way you walk, the way whatever. And there are going to be people that are attracted to me. It just is what it is. You're not going to be able to touch every person.
Right.
But I only want to touch the people God wants me to touch. I want to have my sheep be my sheep, and my flock be my flock.
Well,
and
don't
so
you
that's
think that a lot of
the transparency of being, that's the part about being transparent, is that if you're not living in your truth, then your sheep are someone else's sheep because you're living a lie.
Right. Well, don't you think that a lot of women are like, a lot of women are competitive with one another? You know, I don't.
They are.
You know, but why is that though? You know why? Because males, they can compete and leave it on the field.
Oh yeah.
Women, we take it, and I don't know if it's because we're emotion based, okay, but we really can, you know, be very hurtful to one another, and there's like kind of a disconnect, you know, between us as women, as sisters, in
Like, we
this
can't
world
even
trying
work
to make
together.
it. Exactly.
Like, we can't work together. You know, it's put out there that we can't build together. It's put out there that I can't like you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't like you.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I like you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and the hard part for me is again, I have a competitive nature when it comes to being in the gym. I told you, like, when I was kickboxing,
Mm-hmm.
like, knowing good and well I probably didn't need to be competing against this girl that's been kickboxing for a year, but I compete that way. I compete in the sense of, oh, okay, so you just wrote a book, okay, cool. That just motivates me to want to write one too. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to buy your book.
Right.
It just means that if you could write a book, then I'm capable of writing one. If you're able to, you know, I don't know, buy a Mercedes, then I'm capable of buying one. I don't look at that as competing. I look at it as
possibility.
as a possibility, as hope, as in motivation. Inspiration. I feel like one of the reasons why God allowed me to work as Marjorie Harvey's personal assistant for the years that he allowed me to do it was to inspire me to know that if Marjorie and Steve can build this amazing family, you know, and can have what they have, that I could have it as well too. You know, I don't understand competing with other women, and I don't want to, because I don't want to dumb myself down to the level of now I want to compete with someone
And
else.
it's so lonely
I just want
at the top, too.
Well, but you want to know what? And I feel like it's lonely at the top because we're not pulling enough people up.
When you compete,
oh yeah. Oh yeah,
and you
Good
put
point.
yourself,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, because
in that
you're stepping on
position,
everybody.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's like I was saying upstairs. Nowadays, it's not cool to be loving and have, you know, the relationships, even like with love and marriage. Okay, we're talking about a lot about business, but the same principles can relate to, you know, relationships as well.
Yeah.
So you saw something funny.
Well, shit, one girl, my homegirl said I can't spell, so I won't be writing a book no time soon. Yeah, but you don't have to write it. You can actually audiobook it.
Right,
Hey, Tina,
yeah.
hey,
Just
Deidre.
talk to them, you know. And there are tools and resources, so please, you can do it
You
if
can
that's
do
what
it.
you desire to do. So please, everybody out there that's watching today, if you want to remember anything from this conversation, it's that there are possibilities, and you can do whatever you put your mind to. They do have editing software.
Grammarly is an is an amazing tool that you can put on your computer, and if there is a situation where, I mean, the punctuation is wrong, whatever. I mean, the last book that I wrote, I used Grammarly. So what we're not going to do is use the word can't.
Right.
That word is not in our vocabulary. I mean, and growing up, truth be told, you know my dad. My dad didn't allow us to use that word, you know. Now, I did run the hell out of cannot.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
I did use, well,
Yes.
I cannot right now, Dad.
Yeah.
And of course, it was funny because he's, you know, he thought I was pretty hilarious. I'm pretty sure I thought that he was as well, too. But, I mean, audiobooks are huge nowadays.
Right. There are resources. If
so
there's
many
the will,
resources.
there's a way.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a computer, honey, you got a friend that knows how to spell, and they made like straight A's in English class. So again, you can get it done. Straight up.
And there goes Chef Akemi.
All
So, you know, I think that, you know, Akemi actually made this conversation about me, but I want to ask you, because, you know, we went to high school together, you know, we went to separate colleges, but, you know, we had a disconnect for years. You know, how did you even get to the point where you wanted to first become a chef? Because what was your major in college?
Well, first of all, I went to like, you know.
No. You
I
went to college, so
yeah,
let's
yeah.
not even
No,
downgrade.
I understand, but what
Okay.
I'm saying is that my college career was lengthy.
Yes.
So that involves several majors.
Okay.
But initially, I went to school for journalism.
Okay.
Okay.
And you finished with, because Ed didn't start and finish in with the same one, so that's okay.
Well, I ended up getting a degree in liberal arts, and then
Okay.
I went and got a culinary degree.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, I have a story to tell that, you know, a direct story that relates to me, you know, entering the culinary world. But
Okay.
really, ever since I was a little child, I was cooking
Okay.
and serving. so I was 6 years old up under my grandmother, and she was in charge of the Eastern Stars in the state of Virginia, and my grandfather was the head of the Masons. And they did banquets and services of all times all through the year. She had 5 kids. Those 5 kids had at least 3 kids apiece. It was like 20 people in my grandmother's house every night eating dinner. And I wonder now, I got 1 kid, and I wonder, how did she afford to even be able to feed all of those families? But hey, grandmamas make it happen.
It is so funny, because the interesting thing is in that talk that I sent you with T.D. Jakes, he actually says that girls are inbred from babies to have babies and to be wives,
a mother and a wife,
and be mothers. Like, we automatically get our little girls like baby dolls. We automatically get them cooking sets,
right?
As opposed to, you don't see our boys with boy baby dolls,
right?
Or teaching them how to be
a
man, or to be a husband,
or a father.
And so I actually thought that was pretty interesting,
really,
especially now with you saying that you basically have been doing it all your life.
Right. So when my grandmother was getting these banquets together, myself and my cousin, we would be there grating cheese, chopping onions, sweeping the floor. When all the food was prepared, we would be at the place helping with service, and that is hospitality. But in 2010, I'd gotten into 2 really bad car accidents, and they happened a month apart from each other, and I was working in human resources at the time, working from home, and I lost my job. And it took me about 9 months to recover from my injuries from this car accident. And during that time, I was going from doctor to doctor, and they were just giving me like prescription after prescription after prescription. Nobody was helping me. The pain medicine wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. And I decided to research how to heal myself. And in that process, I started really deeply looking into our food and our food systems. And so I decided that when I got better, I was going to go to culinary school, not only because I wanted to, be able to cook, because I've been cooking all my life, but, I definitely wanted the technique, but I wanted to know any and everything and all about food. And during that time when I was in culinary school, one of my professors actually saw me, and she said, you know what, you would make a great teacher. And so then I started teaching different areas of hospitality. And again, the lesson in that is that sometimes people and circumstances will cause you to become aware of your natural talents and skills that you didn't even know that you had.
But that's the one beautiful thing that I love about sometimes people, the end result is they see certain things in you that, again, you didn't even recognize that you had. But if they tell you about it, then it might kind of shed some light on a scenario, and be like, you know what, I actually am good at this.
Exactly.
And this actually is a God-given talent and a skill that if I hone it and make it better, that I can actually turn it into a career.
Right. And for me, myself, I didn't take...
Can I pause you real
quick?
Quick? We're going to have to pause because you know how I am on lighting. So we're going to just end up moving.
Well, actually, we have to pause
go.
because we got to go.
Okay, well, finish this last story because we have got to go. And we got some comments. Tracy, Nakoma's mom.
Oh, yeah.
She said God will always make enough food.
Right.
God will always make your food enough for all that you have to feed. Lord knows my household is proof of that.
I know that's
Miss
right.
Tracy,
yes.
You said nothing but a word right there. Okay, so finish, and then.
Well, actually, I can't even remember what I was about to say, but that's okay.
No, you were just talking about how someone said that you should go into hospitality and you should go into cooking, and then that's
I remember that part.
You said that he actually pulled out that talent out of you that you didn't think.
And
that
I remember
you would
that
have.
too.
And then
But then the other thought just went over there because I realized that I need to be headed to the airport.
She
to
realized
make it back
she
home.
needed to be headed.
I got a
there.
baby I got to feed right now in Baltimore.
Whether or not she's really a baby though.
But she'll always be. She'll always be my baby.
And then there's that.
Yeah.
So we're going to actually finish our girl chat a different day.
Yes.
But I do want to say Akemi, that it has been a long time since we have gotten together. Of course, I saw you last year at our 20-year high school reunion.
Wow.
We didn't necessarily get a chance to hang out.
How are we having a 20-year reunion when we only 20? I mean, look how young and cute we are.
I mean, well, so about that. So you yeah.
Okay, but go ahead.
I'm gonna take all 38 of my years.
It.
You know what I mean? Like,
Doesn't it feel good?
I wouldn't trade not one.
I think it beats the alternative for sure, because you could be dead. But you know, I know.
And then there's that.
For me, I feel better now than I did, you know, when I was younger. I like when you know yourself, when you reach an age to where you really begin to understand yourself and your place in the world, it's a really beautiful thing. So again, you know, I'm joking. We look young, you know, but
thank God
you
for
know,
the melanin.
Absolutely.
Thank God for melanin and water.
Yes.
And for these good genes. But I do want to. What I wanted to say was I really appreciate you coming down here, and I really appreciate the fact that we got a chance to kind of hang out, and not kind of, but we got a chance to hang out. I appreciate the fact that we had some pretty cool conversations that were probably necessary to have. Sidebar, that person never called.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I was wondering.
So sidebar,
right?
that conversation never happened. But you know, I really am excited about, you know, continuing our friendship from here. And I'm excited about coming up to Baltimore and going to Coco's Pub so I could get these crab cakes.
Hello.
And then also allowing our children to grow up together.
Right.
So, you know, I'm really excited about you guys coming down here next summer and us coming up there. So Baltimore ain't nothing but a word.
Yes.
You know, so you guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna go back and listen to all of I know we can, Jerome. Jerome said y'all can go live on IG live together. I know, but you know what? I think one of the things that was beautiful about this, other than the fact that it started and it was daylight, is that, you know, it's cool to do the IG live and have somebody come in, but to be able to actually like touch on someone and like love on someone or whatever is a little bit different. So I love technology. Obviously, we're on Facebook and Instagram right now, and when it started, Akemi was like, "Oh, I'm so nervous." She killed
nervous,
it,
but
she but you like killed it. So,
yeah, thank you.
Hey, Lakeisha, I will see you on Saturday at the 818 conference. If you are in Atlanta, I will be speaking and vending at the 818 conference at Embassy International Church.
You all need to go out there because that church is amazing. She took me there. That was one of the things we got to do. And it's a really, really great ministry. So please, if you're in the area, you know, do yourself a favor and go there.
It is an amazing church. Embassy International. We are led by Apostle Brian Meadows and his amazing wife Patrice, who subsequently also wrote an amazing book called Side Chicks, Married to the Visionary. One of the books that I've read in my transformation from being who I was last year to who I am now. The 818 conference information is on my Facebook and it's on my Instagram. If you have any children, if you register, your child can come for free. So thank you, Lakeisha, for popping in. You guys have an amazing night from the top of my head to the soles of my feet. I ask that God watch over you, keep you, protect you, expand your territory and your capacity. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Bye. Bye.